Shoresy is definitely one of the most unique shows that I have ever watched. From the rapid fire editing to the almost sketch-like scenes that sometimes don't feel like they meld together but are always absolutely hilarious, to the absolutely banger soundtrack, to just the genius of Jared Keeso. Shoresy is one of those shows that when you put on, it is almost impossible to stop watching. Every single episode is very bite-sized and easy to get through, and although this is kind of a strange way to tell a story and an unconventional way to shoot a show, you always want to know what happens next, because although the story itself is not really the reason people are here, it is the reason that people stay around. I have to know what happens with the Sudbury Blueberry Bulldogs. On top of that, big fans of Letterkenny, which has a cult following and has honestly kind of reached like mainstream success towards the tail end of it, including myself, say that Shoresy is in some ways, more ways than not, an improvement on Letterkenny. So that begs the question, why is it really not all that popular of a show? So as everybody knows, Shoresy is a spin-off of the completely ever successful show Letterkenny that went on for many seasons and was also made by Jared Keeso. I could take a whole nother video and talk about Letterkenny, but right now I'm talking about Shoresy. And Shoresy himself was just the side character that was known for his chirping and being very vulgar, but he was a fan favorite. And when he got this spin-off, I myself, and I believe a lot of other people, were kind of skeptical, because how are you going to make an entire TV show about that guy?
Fuck you, Jonesy. Tell your mom to top up the cell phone she bought me so I can FaceTime her late night.
But from the very beginning, at the start of season 1, my mind was blown. This is absolutely nothing like what I expected out of a show like this. So in season 1, we start following Shoresy deep into the season with the Sudbury Bulldogs, later known as the Sudbury Blueberry Bulldogs, which, by the way, a little behind the scenes, that took me a couple of takes to say. But we start with him on an absolute losing streak, and the team is about to get folded and shut down by the owner. But Shoresy hates losing. He loves winning, but he hates losing. And he brings in a group of ringers of close friends of his, or sometimes with Frankie JJ, not close friends that he knows are great hockey players, to turn this season around. And he says, we will never lose again. And if we lose again, you can fold us. And this season is just all about them coming back to win the whole damn thing. So I kind of want to talk about Jared Keeso for a minute, who is the mastermind behind Letterkenny and Shoresy, and how he got his start, because it is really not a conventional story. He started out in Hollywood like almost every actor, and he was kind of disenfranchised with the whole idea of Hollywood and the auditions and how it made him feel. So he went back to his hometown, and he went back to Canada, and he started a web series that eventually turned into Letterkenny. He started the character Shoresy on Letterkenny that also gained kind of a cult following within the cult following, and did this spin-off. Jared Keeso, who is the main character of both shows and the writer and the producer and the creator, has one of the more unique ways of storytelling. And Letterkenny started off slow and started off on a distributor that wasn't even Hulu. And like I said, it started off on the internet of all places, but Letterkenny absolutely blew up. It had so many seasons, such a fan base. It was one of the most quotable shows out there. Still is, even though it is not running anymore.
Those are Canada's fucking gooses.
Canada gooses are majestics, barrel-chested, the envies of all ornithologies.
They are leaders. Born and bred leaders.
Canada gooses are very fucking guard.
Heavy fucking car.
Guardians of the fucking galaxy.
You know what? You got a problem with Canada gooses, and you got a problem with me, and I suggest that that one marinate.
And Shoresy, as I said in the beginning, is a bit of an improvement, I think. It is different. And the fact that Jared Keeso plays both the main characters that are so wildly different from each other is incredibly impressive. But the success of it has been nowhere near Letterkenny. It is absolutely dwarfed by Letterkenny. Like here, let me show you. I kind of wanted to take a minute and actually highlight some of the statistics that I'm talking about to kind of back up what I'm saying about it not being as successful as I think it should be. So if you look here on IMDb, it actually has it at an 8.5 out of 10 rating. And that's really, really good. but the popularity is down below 1,000 and it keeps dropping. Now, obviously, a lot of that might be able to be put to the fact that it is not on the air right now. Season 3 is past. Also, if you look at Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 100% average tomato meter and a 97% audience score. Absolutely incredible. Just one of the best scores I've ever seen. But if you look here, it has it at a popularity today rating of 608. And its top best day is number 57. It has never once been the best, and it has never even been in the top 10. And if you look here, it had a spike when one of the seasons came out, but it's not at a huge spike. It peaked at 204 on the popularity rank, and it sits at an average of 520. These are numbers that I don't think a show like this should have. I think this should be way up. In season 2, we pick up with the Sudbury Blueberry Bulldogs. Tongue twister, I tell you what, man, Jesus Christ. And in this season, they are completely undefeated, and they are going to be undefeated throughout the entire season. That is the point and the goal of the season for these hockey players. They don't want to just be the best players in this season. They want to be the best players in the no-show ever. But I'll tell you this much. This is where the show starts getting deeper, because the show, on the surface level, yeah, that's what it's about. But on a deeper level, this season's actually about love. That is really what this season is about. Everybody in this season is seeking love. It is about their love of hockey. Is it about Shoresy himself specifically, his deep love of hockey? But is it about them finding somebody to share that success with? It's not just Shoresy, it is side characters as well. Like with 10-inch cock, he is seeking somebody to not just have meaningless sex with like the rest of the team. He just wants somebody that he can go over to their house or them come to his house and listen to some tunes. And he finds that with Pam. Michaels is also looking for somebody, but he keeps being obsessed with Mercedes, who's interested in everybody else and cheats on him all the time. Frankie JJ also is seeking love, but he also does not know how to settle down. The pride of Quebec is kind of falling from grace because of that over the course of this series. But more specifically, Shoresy has been going after Laura Moore since the very first episode of season 1, and he is going to treat her right. The lines from Shoresy to Laura Moore are the best lines ever. And my God, I steal them all the time, and it makes my wife laugh. So thank you very much, Shoresy. In the end of this season, him and Laura Moore actually get together. She gives him a shot. And this whole season is about, on the underneath level of like the hockey, underneath the hockey, and them going for the record, it is really about love. Not just the love from people, but the love for the game as well, that they all have, and the success that they want to share with other people. I've been talking a lot about the fact that Shoresy is not as successful as I think it is, and that it is an amazing show, but I haven't really backed up that with a lot of evidence. So I want to just take a little bit here and talk about the great things about Shoresy. One of the things that I love about Shoresy, that at the beginning I thought I would find very annoying, in fact, is the repeated jokes.
Fucking loser. Fucking loser.
Every single character has not just a catchphrase, but like 4 or 5 different catchphrases, and they're repeated multiple times an episode. And when I say that, you think it would get old, but almost every single time it just gets funnier and funnier.
For what? For what? For what? For what? For what? For what? For what?
But on top of that, you have repeated scenes, like Shoresy on the ice skating rink when he's a ref, chirping at the younger kids.
I remember laying in bed dreaming about the time your mom tongued my butthole so good I put her in my phone as roll up the rim to win.
Which he does in Letterkenny, and I'm so glad they pulled it over to this, because it's one of the things that made Shoresy so incredibly successful as a side character on Letterkenny. But that also goes really well into one of the next things that I love about this, is the fact that I talked in the beginning about how the show is so incredibly unique in the way it is shot. Every single scene is basically its own sketch within inside the episode. But all these sketches, while they feel like they're not going to meld together properly to make a concise episode, every single sketch makes this great storyline.
Dutch last names are so fucking long in Dutch, they barely fit on the backs of their sweaters. They look fucking ridiculous.
Klumpenhauer.
Blankenbiller.
De Barteladen.
Schoengertner.
Van Zandermeulen.
Der Rentmeester.
Van Ben Schoten.
Solon Burgerstad.
Hingle McCringleberry.
But even though you have like this sketch-like quality of the show, there's some parts in this that are surprisingly deep and heartfelt. And honestly, the cinematography in this show the shot selection, and just so many other things that go into the actual production of it seem so incredibly high for what this show is and is marketed as, which is just a silly hockey show. And it's not. It's so much deeper than a silly hockey show. Next, I want to talk about the characters a little bit. And again, from the beginning, the characters just seem like bit characters.
Jim.
Jim.
Two Jims.
Jim.
Are y'all three Jim?
And for the most part, they are. I'm not going to deny that this is not typically just a bit character run show. But as the show goes on through season 1, 2, and 3, you get a lot more depth inside of these characters. And that goes for basically everybody, but one of the biggest ones is Nat. Nat starts off wanting to fold the team, and the sisters that are with her, they all just seem like this foil for Shoresy and the team. But then when Shoresy brings in everybody else, like Goody, 10-inch cock, JJ Frankie, JJ, Michaels eventually, the Jims, Bolo, after they come in and the team starts to improve, and Nat starts to care about this team again and fight for this team. And the progression of the relationships in this between Shoresy and Nat specifically, but everybody's kind of wrapped in that. But I want to focus on the progression of the relationship of Shoresy and Nat to where they become the leaders of this team together and they lean on each other. And Nat comes to respect Shoresy not just as a player, but as a captain and as a leader and as somebody that cares as deeply about this team that she got from her mother just as much. And by the time season 3 comes around, it's paid off in so many different ways that I'll talk about in a minute. Speaking of hockey, I'm not really a hockey fan. I'm going to be honest here. I've never seen a game of hockey in my life. I'm a big basketball fan. Surprise, surprise. But I love myself a good sports movie and a sports show. And really nothing has done it as hype as Shoresy has. I don't know a single goddamn thing about hockey. But every single hockey scene is so incredibly hype. With the music choices and the action and the shot selection, just like I was talking about, but also just how into it they get. You can tell that a lot of these guys were former hockey players. A couple of them actual former show players. So you can tell that the people that are in these scenes and that make these scenes know and care about this sport genuinely, because it's so exciting to watch that it almost makes me want to get into hockey. But I'll probably just keep watching the hits on TikTok. I talked about the music, and the music is one of the things that is such a surprise to me. This has, honestly, maybe the best soundtrack of any TV show that I've ever watched, and it is so incredibly diverse. A lot of it is so incredibly niche and unknown, and sometimes it is just a small little segment for 1 or 2 seconds of a phenomenal song before a scene starts to kind of set the tone. But other times they'll play damn near an entire song during a scene. And it's just one of the many ways that this show goes from being like a silly, funny sitcom to taking it a step further to something that has moved me almost to tears just with the music. I wanted to take a minute here to highlight the music that I was talking about, because I really mean it when I say that the music in this absolutely blew my mind. They use music in a way that I've really never seen music used on a TV show before. To start out, I'm just kind of going to run through a playlist that I made here. I listened to a season 1 through 3 playlist of Shoresy, and I highlighted my absolute favorite ones. So I'm just going to read out some of my favorites and then highlight a few standouts even from that. So you have High Octane by Jules, Death Proof by Valentino Khan, and excuse me if I butcher some of these, Sunshine by Nazareth, that one right there by Loud, I can't speak French, Fight Club by Chi and Mr. Carmack, True Love by Tobias Jesso Jr., Ready Set Loop by SBT RKT. I bet that stands for something, but I don't know. Pull Out by Death From Above. Mask with Away, Josh Pan. That one, again, I don't speak whatever language that is. I think it's Russian or Ukrainian. Joe Dolo. That is actually by Dolo in the show. Like I said, a lot of these characters are actually hockey players, and he was actually a hockey player that went into music, rap music, like they said in the show. Skoden by Snotty Nose Rez Kids, Rio de Janeiro by Trop Killers and Sengo, Set the Play by Slim Gorilla, Mars by Valley Mo and Charlotte Pupnik, and Hex by Arc Patrol. Now, like I said, I want to highlight a few of these because there's specifically 3 of these that I think are really, really cool and that I've listened to the most out of any of them. So, to go back, I absolutely love Fight Club by Chi and Mr. Carmack. It's a hype song. You can listen to it to get hyped whenever you want to. But specifically, the scene that it is in the show, it's very early on, just kind of shows initially how music is going to be used going forward in this show. On the opposite end of the spectrum, True Love by Tobias Jesso Jr. comes at a spot in this show that this is one of the parts that very nearly moved me to tears. There was a couple of that in this show, and that's so surprising. And then last is Skoden by Snotty Nose Rez Kids, and it's not even necessarily just Skoden. Snotty Nose Rez Kids has been a group that I have discovered because of this show that deserve their own shout out altogether. Season 3, legitimately, is one of the best seasons of television ever. I watched the 6 episodes of season 3, and I immediately started over and watched from the very first episode all the way through again. It's what I spent an entire day when my kid was at school doing. I started watching when he got on the bus, and I stopped watching for a second time when he got off of the bus. It's just that damn good. And this season, I like it so much for a couple of reasons. One, it switches it up. They have the tournament after losing the final game of the playoffs in season 2. Bummer there. Didn't see that coming. But they start off the season with the fact that they are in the tournament. They're going to find out who is the best at senior whale shit hockey in the entire country of Canada. So it switches it up because instead of the same 4 teams playing, you have teams from all over the country and you're meeting new characters and new people. And again, this season on the surface level is about the tournament. The tournament's so good. The hockey in this season, the music, everything all around is amazing. Somehow it surpasses season 1 and 2 in my mind by a mile, and they're already so good. But this season is so deep and heartfelt because it is about Shoresy being old and having to let go of hockey and the struggles and the turmoil of that. This season actually did bring me to tears. I'm going to skip ahead to the very last episode when they win the whole damn thing. And Shoresy is walking out of the tunnel and he has the trophy in his hands, right? And he just collapses because it was his last game ever and he can't handle it. And that brought me to tears. It really did. That struggle of him having to give up the thing that he loves and everybody that cares about him, including his family, including the owner, that he has built a very solid relationship with. It choked me up. I'm choking up about it, thinking about it right now. I've talked a lot about Shoresy, but very little about Shoresy. And that's because I wanted to take like a whole segment over here and talk about him as a character, because he's a very surprising character in this. Like I said many times, he was just a bit character that Jared Keeso thought was funny, I assume, to have in Letterkenny. And when he came over to this, I didn't expect much out of his character. But he's very layered. Like, he has a phenomenal relationship with his very strange family. And they have a lot of scenes, and he holds his family very dear to his heart. He's very in touch with his emotions. There's a lot of times when he is seen crying or telling his friends and family that he loves them in just like a platonic way. And yeah, the crying is sometimes played off as a joke because he does it for the national anthem and hockey, but it's often not played off as a joke as well. Like in the times when he is absolutely moved by Laura Moore, or when he has a loss that he's struggling with in hockey, or when he is forced to retire from hockey and give hockey, the thing that he loves most in the world, up. And he loves Laura Moore. Laura Moore is what I believe the love of his life, but it is not the true and only love of his life, because yeah, he spends the entire time chasing after her because he wants something deeper. Everybody else is just having meaningless sex throughout the show and taking just the most beautiful, beautiful women I have ever seen to bed. But that's besides the point. Everybody else is doing that throughout this show, but he just wants Laura Moore, and he is seeking her the entire time. But what I mean is, with hockey being his true one love, his deepest love. And I love the scene where Laura Moore is giving him an interview and she asks him, "Will you be happy without hockey?" And he doesn't answer. He can't answer. He doesn't know. And I assume he thinks he won't be. Shoresy is just a surprising character. I don't really have any other way to put it than surprising. And I love his progression, his character development, and all those things I talked about with him. After all of this is why it is surprising to me how, again, I don't want to say unsuccessful because it is a successful show, but I don't think it is as big and as well known as it should be. It is one of the funniest comedic shows I've ever seen. One of the most unique shows in the way that it is shot and written that I've ever seen. And I think Shoresy itself should not only be bigger than Letterkenny, and that's not a knock on Letterkenny. Letterkenny is phenomenal. But I think it should be right up there with shows like Severance and The Bear and just all those other shows that are talked about in the echelon of amazing shows. But thank you for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out my other videos.